back, guys. I'm making this video because, man, Volkanovski, Alexander Volkanovski, probably the greatest featherweight fighter of all time. Beat Max Holloway twice, defended his title twice against Max Holloway, defended his title against Brian Ortega. And that fight was probably the greatest fight. That was the greatest fight of all time. That might be the greatest. That would be probably fight of the year. That's not even a question. But man, Henry Cejudo, Volkanovski, Henry Cejudo, champ at flyweight, champ at bantamweight, defended his title at bantamweight, defended his title at flyweight. Now he wants to move up and challenge Alexander the Great Volkanovski for the featherweight title at 145. And if he's able to accomplish this, do you know how much that's history in the making? That would be making history. Three-time world champion in 3 different weight classes. Never been done before in the history of the sport. And I think that's the fight to make. Dana, you got to make that fight because really Dana has to make that fight. That is the fight to make. That might be the greatest featherweight fight of all time. It could eclipse the Brian Ortega fight. Man, do I think that? I mean, nobody. Hey, you crazy if you think you can count out. If you think you can count out Henry Cejudo, you're crazy, dude. You're insane. You're insane if you think you can just count out Henry Cejudo. Count him out, like say, oh, he's not gonna win the fight. Of course, I mean nobody thinks he can win the fight, and that's what makes it even more exciting and even more drawing for him to do that, because nobody thinks he can win that fight. Everybody thinks he's gonna lose that fight because he's going up to featherweight. He's the smaller guy. He's not as big as Volkanovski, so the weight would be a problem. Actually, I think he said he was 165 walking around, so Volkanovski won't be a lot bigger than him in the cage. Volkanovski's only like two inches taller, right? So with this fight, man, Dana, you gotta make that fight. The fans want to see. I want to see it. Dana, this is gonna make a lot of money for you too. So you gotta make the fight, man. Make the fight. You got one job. You're the promoter. You're supposed to make the fights that the fans want to see. So make the fight. Make the fight, man. It may be a great fight, man. If Volkanovski beats him, then he solidifies himself as an even better fighter, even greater champion, and he gets more legitimacy to his title reign. But obviously, Volkanovski's the best at featherweight. Undisputed, the best fighter at 145 right now. So that's just something that we gotta come to grips with, man. But yo, fucking fly, huh? Annoying as fuck. Wants to leave? He actually wants to leave. Really? Okay. I'm gonna open the window for that. Can you get that on my face? There you go. Just have to open the window for that fucking fly, man. It's like one fly in my room and I want to kill that motherfucker. I should have got it, but I couldn't. It's too fast. Rascal. Dana, you gotta make that fight, man. That's the fight. Who's Volkanovski gonna fight right now? He has to wait for Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. That's the #1 contender fight for the featherweight title. So, he's gonna wait for that. Why don't you fight Henry Cejudo until that fight makes sense, and the winner can fight the winner of Yair Rodriguez versus Holloway? And I get it. Why should he have to? I think he should be allowed to skip the line. I think he's entitled because he's done and accomplished a lot of things in the sport. Flyweight, come on, man. I ain't gotta explain all these accolades. He's the Olympic champ at wrestling, at freestyle wrestling. 2-time Olympic wrestling champ. Come on. That's not something you can out. You can't. Listen, man. You can't count out Henry Cejudo. I mean, that's something that you can't do. I mean, I don't think Volkanovski is just gonna go in there and knock him out in the first round. No, you got another thing coming if you really think that's gonna happen. Volkanovski and Henry Cejudo would be a great matchup. You know, Henry might wrestle in that fight. We might get to see a little glimpse of Henry's wrestling, because really the most of the time Henry really comes forward and throws leg kicks and pressures you with a lot of volume, work rate. He wrestles sometimes, but Henry's fucking resume is probably one of the best resumes in MMA right now. He beat the greatest fighter of all time in Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson. He defended his title against Dominic Cruz, the greatest bantamweight of all time. And if you guys don't think that you don't think that Dominic Cruz is the greatest bantamweight of all time, you got another thing coming. He beat TJ Dillashaw in 30 seconds. Come on, man. Like, the guy can't be denied, man. Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, Marlon Moraes. Who else did he beat? Well, those are the big names. But he's beaten a couple other people. Maybe I'm missing a couple people. But man, I mean, the guy has done a lot for the sport. You know, I think he even said he would be defending his title if he actually beats Volkanovski. So he's not just gonna come here for one fight. But I think the reason why he's talking about that fight now is because he realizes this is a super fight. You know, fighting someone at bantamweight, Peter Yan, apparently that's a fight that he wouldn't mind making. So I don't mind seeing that fight either. You know, Peter Yan is supposed to be the biggest and baddest guy. Henry Cejudo is a badass because he wants the biggest challenge of every weight class. He wants to fight the best in the division. Straight to the best guy that everybody thinks is the best. He goes straight to that motherfucker. He doesn't step down and look down and fight and want to fight someone else like Corey Sandhagen or... I don't think... I get it. Like, it doesn't excite him because, I mean, the man's already beat TJ Dillashaw. Why should he fight TJ Dillashaw again? That fight makes no sense. The TJ Dillashaw fight makes no sense. No other fight makes sense except for Volkanovski. I think that fight makes sense. He should be able to skip the line. I think he's entitled because he's earned that. He's putting so much work in the sport of UFC, of MMA. I can't believe I said the sport of UFC. Come on, man. Damn. But he needs to. He can win this fight. You know, I think Henry Cejudo can definitely win the fight. And you can't count him out. How can you count him out? The guy's so accomplished. How are you gonna count him out? Like, I don't think that's really something that you can do, man. The guy's proven to us time and time again that you cannot count that guy out. Like, that's not something that you can do. It's just not. How are you gonna count him out?